What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Nightmares Podcast, where we talk about all things horror, whether it be movies, music, television shows, comics, whatever the fuck we feel like talking about. That's what we do. I am, of course, here with the usual suspects. Mr. Zachary Smith is hanging out.
What's up? Thank God you didn't try to come up with a nickname this time, because that was embarrassing the last time you did it.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we do have B-Man and Colin hanging out in the booth. And then we have a very, very special guest hanging out with us today. He has been on the Nightmares Podcast before. Hey, if you like horror and you like hip-hop, he is definitely the man to talk to. This is Corey Clark, a.k.a. Poltergeist OD. But before he introduces himself, if you're not quite sure who he is, check this video out.
I'm Poltergeist, and I make inappropriate songs about horror movies.
So basically, I just came to see some naked D's and A's for free. Take a peek, take a key. 12 cabins, 12 vacancies, 12 bodies, mother pray for me. I might go psycho occasionally. One body too many, pray for me, cause we all go a little mad sometimes.
No happy ever after, just chapter after chapter after chapter. Massacre, make the Ripper look like an amateur ambassador of the slashers. Michael! Lord of the dead, you could wake up in the coroner's bed. This is the hour for mourning and dread. Drain all the blood that was stored in his head.
All of the apologies that you can muster from your dread won't protect you on your bed. Nothing will from Pumpkinhead.
This is not a dream, baby. This ain't Halloween, baby. When I'm on the scene, this is what we call a scream, baby.
Subscribe on YouTube at Poltergeist OD. Follow me on Instagram and the Slasher app at Poltergeist_OD.
Without further ado, Mr. Poltergeist OD. What's going on, brother? So happy to see you again.
What is up, guys? Good to see you guys again.
Dude, it's been awesome, man, dude. We've been following you like crazy. You finally came out with a rap about my favorite horror movie, Scream, which is up there on the movie poster. So very excited about that. I know you've been rocking and rolling with a lot of new stuff since we talked last time. It's been fucking awesome, man, to watch you keep growing and keep doing your thing.
I just announced a Leatherface song I'm dropping on Friday.
Nice.
I know there's a lot of people in this room that would be very excited. I got a Leatherface action figure right behind Zach.
It's been requested a lot.
Now, I believe that. So
I know the Leatherface one's been requested a lot, but how's the Chud 2 one coming along?
I wrote Chud and Chud 2. They're both written. I just need to find the perfect beat and record to it.
All I needed to hear. Good to know.
I might drop it as like a double feature, just drop them both on the same day.
Fuck yes.
Dude, I'm looking at Brandon right now, who hasn't decided how he feels about it.
He's gonna love it. He'll be forced to. I won't let him live without it.
How you doing over there, buddy?
Has anybody here besides myself and Zach actually seen Chud 2?
He has.
What's that? I didn't hear it.
He asked if anybody in the room besides me and him have seen Chud 2.
Oh, I own it.
See, and he's proud of his decision.
Brandon can't get rid of it.
No.
He would like to, but he can't get rid of it.
It keeps coming back.
I like bad.
Dude, it's like literally like I want to do like a GIF where we turn the mask into the DVD of Chud 2. Remember when Jim Carrey throws it out of the window, but it boomerangs back in to the apartment? I want to see the whoop. And then deep fake Brandon's face onto Jim Carrey's face. That'd be great.
I'll work on that GIF later.
Oh, awesome. So, Zach, what are we talking about today, sir?
Today we are talking about children's horror television, particularly when it was good. So mainly shit back in like the 90s and
Is children's horror television even existent right now?
No.
Maybe, I don't know.
Not that's the way
Well,
that
see,
we
that's
do
part of the problem. It doesn't exist. And what we need to do is we need to bring that shit back.
We do need to bring that shit back.
I'm taking it back.
There we go. Let's do it.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Do it live.
That one's for Colin. Obviously we all grew up with the Goosebumps and the Are You Afraid of the Darks of the world and everything else. So everybody's gonna get their turn to talk about their favorites. And per guest tradition, with question of the podcast and also, of course, these questions, I'm going to give it to our guest to go first if they would like, but they can pass it if they so choose. So I would love, man, to hear some of your personal favorites growing up, or even some stuff you've watched recently, and you're like, that still holds up.
I mean, like, my favorites are obviously Goosebumps and, like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? But lately I've been into the more obscure ones. Like, have you guys watched Bump in the Night?
No, I haven't.
I haven't even
It
heard
was
of
like
it.
an old claymation show about these monsters who lived under the bed, and the intro song is annoying as fuck, but it's a decent show.
That's awesome. Brandon's has a curious. I'm gonna look this shit up on IMDb. Look right now in his face. They so he's on his way.
So what was the show called
I used
again?
to watch stuff like Mona the Vampire, Monster by Mistake. Pretty much anything. You guys didn't get YTV, did you? We had a channel called YTV that it played Goosebumps and like all the Canadian shows like that. But I'm not sure if some of the ones I mentioned were Canadian. I don't think Mona the Vampire is. I think Monster by Mistake maybe, but I don't know. I'm dumb, so.
The only Canadian export we got back in the day was Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark. We didn't really get much else.
Probably because those were the two most popular over there.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
like, fuck it, give it to the Americans. They'll love it.
Oh yeah, no, 110%.
Yeah, you guys ate that shit up.
Oh my God, yes, of course we did. It was fucking amazing.
No complaints here, man. Complaints at
So
all.
what were some of those shows about though? Like, I'm curious because I've never even heard of them, and I imagine that most of our audience hasn't. So I'm curious. Tell us a little bit about those shows.
Monster by Mistake was this kid who had a curse on him so that like whenever he sneezed, he turned into like a giant blue monster, and he had to try to hide that from the public. It was fun.
That sounds like an episode of Goosebumps. I feel like was there like a similar episode or a similar concept in one of the episodes? Because that sounds
I'm not
familiar.
sure.
That idea sounds familiar.
The movie Click with Adam Sandler was straight up taken from that Goosebumps episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was
yeah.
100% a ripoff. Like
Title and all.
Yep.
Yeah. They didn't even try. They were like, "Fuck it, I love it."
Yeah, let's just
We
turn
like
this
this
into a
episode
comedy.
so much, let's just make it into a fucking movie.
I imagine when you put Chris Walken in something, a lot of things are forgiven.
I'll forgive anything for Christopher Walken.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. So, what was the vampire one that you had mentioned?
Mona the Vampire was just like a little girl and her friends who just had a really active imagination. So they would just take like regular scenarios and imagine them as, like horror related.
Sounds a lot like us.
Like that creepy librarian's actually a monster type thing. Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty fun.
Sounds fun.
That sounds like a blast. I think I probably would have been even more inventive had I watched that show when I was a kid, thinking about all kinds of crazy shit. That's fucking awesome. You had a lot of special ones, a lot of obscure ones. I really want to watch that claymation one that you were talking about towards the beginning. That sounds really interesting.
Bump in the Night.
Yeah, that sounds really weird.
Do you know how long that
It's pretty
series?
weird.
I was gonna say, do you know how long that series ran for?
I have no idea. I think it was short-lived.
Okay.
Most of those are pretty fucking short-lived,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's kind of a tragedy that these things don't really get that long of legs. So.
No, I know, no. So do you remember any other ones that you really dug back in the day?
I mean, once I fell in love with Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark, I kind of just went down that rabbit hole and started right into the horror movies.
It's a good bridge. It brings you right in and everything else. Dude, I think we mentioned this last time, but I want to talk about it again. Like, what were some of your favorite episodes of Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Tale of the Dark music is really, really good. I like, what's that one? The Ghastly Grinner. That was a fun one. Goosebumps, I would say. The Monster Blood ones are awesome. Scarecrow Walks at Midnight is dope.
Dude, that Monster Blood one, man.
Dude, that shit was so ridiculous, especially at part two.
Part
on
two
the
on the plane.
When they're on the plane, that's awesome.
Dude,
Shit was so ridiculous.
Dude, like I can't, like I don't think Fast and the Furious said fuck physics that much.
I'm tired of this motherfucking Monster Blood on this motherfucking plane.
Dude, like I've traveled my entire life. I have never been on a plane where the fucking compartments were all connected. And you know something funny? That's the part that bothered me the most. Like none of the other shit bothered me as much as that did.
You mean the fact that there was so much space in between the fucking rows? That didn't.
Oh yeah, like that fucking like 70s baller plane that no kid has ever been on ever. And I'm like, you could still see the fucking ashtrays in the seats.
And the rules are so loose on this plane too.
Oh my God. I'm like, how many Saudi princes have traveled on this plane? The answer is a lot.
Oh Jesus Christ! Well, it was before 9/11. So.
So why is there so much smoke in this plane? Why do you ask so many questions? Dude, the fucking episode was wild.
There's actually one that we watched really recently, and we were just like, this is actually legitimately good. Like it actually built tone and everything. And that was The Perfect School, the two-parter.
Yeah, The Perfect School. Where they cloned him.
Oh right.
Yeah, dude, that one was. And Brandon, you said that it won some type of award or something.
Yeah, it was actually nominated for the Directors Guild for Best Directing for Children's Programming.
Holy shit!
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, and that one was like, cause like it's season 3 Goosebumps, which we all know. Not the greatest.
It's kind of a dumpster fire.
Depending on who you ask.
That two-parter was like they're actually setting up a plot and tone and acting and pacing, and there's story.
Acting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that headmaster, he took that role seriously.
There's actually some.
That was his shot.
It was actually shot well.
Dude,
It was a legitimately really good episode of Goosebumps season 3. But then again, Horrorland was also season 3.
Oh, that's true.
Horrorland was fun.
That is arguably that's pretty much everyone's fan favorite is Monsterland. It's a.
Did you guys ever
Horrorland.
play the Horrorland game for PS2?
Of course I did. I played it back then.
I bought it the second I heard about it. I was like, this is fucking sick.
Oh yeah.
I had the board game, and that was pretty cool.
The season
back when video games based off movie and TV show titles were good.
Dude,
PS2 was such a great generation.
Dude, there's some bad ones in season 3 though. Like I would just put the pill at the list. They had an old story where the old creepy ladies are trying to make new husbands and shit. They
right, and they used like baking to do it.
Yeah, they use prunes
prune
to
cookies.
Prune cookies. It was bad. Don't go to sleep. One of my personal favorites is on here, and they make fun of me for liking it so much. Is The House of No Return was in season 3.
Is that the board game one?
No, it's not the board game one. It's literally where
that was also season 3.
Where some kid learns that he's going to be in sales for the rest of his life, because it literally is about kids daring other kids to go in a haunted house. And the ending, and the ending is the kid literally convinces the ghost. He's like, "Listen, like you let me go, 3 more kids are gonna come in." And I'm like, that kid can fucking sell anything. The kid's gonna grow up to be a killer.
The kid is Jeff Bezos now.
So that's what happened. He
sacrificed 3 children and created Amazon. There you go.
Oh yeah, dude. And then
it was a deal made
the Amazon origin story.
Indeed.
Holy shit.
They also had like Stream Peas and like Bride of the Living Dummy, Awesome Ants.
Trilogy.
And they also had the disaster that is Chillology.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah. They
I actually own the Chillology on DVD.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I didn't buy it. People give me things.
Oh yeah,
You like Goosebumps here,
dude. All your unboxing videos and fan.
They say it's the thought that counts when it comes to gift giving. So I have to ask, what was the thought behind that gift?
Fuck you.
Well, I mean, it's Goosebumps, so I'll take it.
Fair enough.
I mean, okay, I bought S. Darko.
Oh.
I don't even know what that is. Do I want to know?
You shouldn't. Don't worry.
You shouldn't. Don't worry. Just don't. Straight up, don't.
All right. Just real briefly, Mark. It is the sequel to Donnie Darko that was made without the involvement of Richard Kelly, and it follows Donnie's sister, like 10 years later or something like that? I don't care.
I've already lost interest. Like I blacked out.
It's brutal.
That's ridiculous. Goosebumps was fucking crazy, and like I think we're almost done watching our way through it right now, as our little as we all that's what we do to decompress and everything else. But yeah, it's fucking crazy that all the episodes, as ridiculous as they get. But Are You Afraid of the Dark though was always a little bit smarter, and a little bit it took itself a little bit more seriously, and there were some good episodes of that. What was the one that you mentioned though that you really liked?
The Tale of the Dark music. It's like when that kid goes down into his cellar and he finds an old stereo, and whenever he plays it, the cellar door would open, and there were these like apparitions that would try to like coax him into coming in.
Nice.
It was creepy. I remember this really creepy porcelain doll, like a life-size one, coming out of the door, and that scene stuck with me.
Yeah, I imagine it would. That's awesome. The Zack Attack. What were some of your favorites?
Of what?
No, just it's your turn.
Oh, okay. So, there was this show I watched as a kid. I couldn't remember the name of it, so I had to look it up. Has anybody ever heard of the show called Bone Chillers?
Yeah.
No.
Vaguely remember that.
Okay, so the best way I could describe this show is if Goosebumps took place in a high school, had a reoccurring cast, and did a line of cocaine.
Awesome.
Funny. That's actually very similar to the description that my girlfriend gave me about Bone Chillers.
Yeah, really?
Pretty much, but she didn't mention the cocaine, but...
Yeah.
I do remember this.
I personally love this show to death because it just takes everything and just says fuck it and goes so over the top. Like, it has those weird, wacky camera angles and stuff like that. It's full of like color and life. The kids are fucking hilarious. You got the cliche Doc Brown mad scientist nerd kid. You've got your cliche goth chick who's actually kind of a coward, which I find hilarious.
Linda Carlini's in
Yes,
this.
she's the goth chick.
It's fucking Velma from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, she's the goth chick.
That's awesome.
You have your basic like kid who gets bullied and stuff like that, he's like an artist or whatever, and then you have your basic like kind of like goody two shoes, like kind of like clean and all that other stuff person. Yeah, cool characters. And one of the episodes, I think it's the first episode of the show. This guy gets a sketch pad from a homeless guy and starts drawing a whole bunch of monsters. All those monsters come to life and shit like that. Another episode, there's this fly lunch lady that comes in, puts maggots in their fucking meal, and it like infects the kids and all that. And the way they have to get rid of it, eat mustard and just spew it out. It's disgusting, it's awesome, it's on crack, and it's fucking hilarious.
I can't seem to find a lot of DVDs here. I was just gonna order it.
Yeah,
I found a Halloween special for like $20.
Yeah, so the only place I
anywhere.
found it was on. So I tried looking up like where to get it, but the only thing I could find, like they had the entire season on YouTube. But the tragedy about this show, and I hate this fucking company even more now, is when Disney bought ABC, they said fuck it to all the shows that Disney didn't already own or some shit. So this show, even though it was doing amazing, got canned because Disney fucking sucks.
But he's not bitter. But dude, I actually, you know what the funny thing is, I remember the books more than I remember the TV show.
So yeah, it is based off the books like Goosebumps is. Yeah, and I believe when this show was actually airing on ABC, like the author of the books would, give like a little speech at the end of the episode, encourage kids to be creative and stuff like that, Want to do horror stuff? Do horror stuff. Like, it was great. I caught the show
awesome.
It was fucking amazing. There was like a Franken Turkey episode or something like that. That was the first episode I saw as a kid. That shit was hilarious.
Franken Turkey sounds like it should be a trauma film.
It should be,
dude,
but...
And then that kid grew up to write and direct Thanksgiving.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised one fucking bit if Thanksgiving and this episode have some correlation with each other.
That movie gives me a fucking headache.
But that episode was fucking hilarious. The puppet they used for the so there's a good turkey who they're trying to save. So they create like this amalgamation of fucking turkey because the kid was watching Young Frankenstein Jr. the 5th or something like that. Okay. So it's just like, let's create a Franken-turkey so we can replace him with gobbles or whatever. And so they create it. They try bringing it to life. That doesn't work. They throw it in a trash can. A bolt of lightning hits it. Then the fucking thing comes to life and starts fucking with everybody.
The old classic lightning.
Oh, of course.
Lightning brings everything to life. If you want to bring something to life, just hit it with some lightning.
If I was making a movie and there was a part where I didn't know how to segue into a section, just lightning.
Yeah.
They use lightning as transitions in the show all the time, and a monster hand just grabbing the frame and just going, "Fuck you."
Dude, I can just see them in the writers' room and everything else. I don't know what to put here. Like it's kind of a rough transition. Fucking lightning!
Dude, it wouldn't surprise.
Big old bolt of white lightning.
I swear to God.
I really like it when things are white. You sure we're talking about lightning right now? Not about cocaine?
He's old.
Dude, I'm telling you, this show is absolutely hilarious. Yeah, just look up Bone Chillers on YouTube. The first season's on there. It's 13 episodes. It's fucking hilarious. It's awesome. And it's a shame that Disney exists, because if they didn't, we probably would have had more seasons.
Dude, that kind of sucks, man, because that's like the second show that like Linda, I believe, Carnelli. That's the second show that she was in that got canceled way too soon. It was that. She was in Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
They so maybe it's a curse. Maybe she should just stay the hell out of television shows.
Yeah, I believe she's the only one from that show that actually went on to continue her career. Most of the actors stopped. Oh, and the principal of this school may as well be a nice version of Candyman without the hook. He's this very
cool too.
Over the top, just like imposing dude, and it's just like, I like him. He's cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What else you got?
Yeah, that's really it.
Oh,
that's
that was it? All right, yeah. Cool. The B-Man.
All right, so I'm not bringing a show. I'm bringing something a little different. It is TV, but so when talking about children's horror, I seem to be the only person that remembers this from everybody I know. And apparently the reason for this is this only lasted for 2 months. But Fox Kids, for a period of 2 months, had this thing called the No Yell Motel, which was basically a children's version of like the horror hosts, like Elvira or Joe Bob or Vampira. And so it's like, there would be like these pre-recorded bumpers starring these 2 puppets. One's like a vampire concierge for the motel, and the other's his like spider-like assistant. And they would like tell these corny like horror-related jokes for kids. But yeah, this would play like in between like the Fox Kids horror block of like Goosebumps, Toonsylvania, Erie, Indiana.
Toonsylvania, man. Holy shit.
What a name.
Oh my God, that's taking me back, man.
Yeah, that was one of the Steven Spielberg produced cartoons. So yeah, it was just like this, it was kind of cute, and it's like a CG motel, and like it was basically a horror host for kids. And
I'm gonna check that out. I looked it up, and the animation looks pretty fun.
Yeah, it's puppets. Yeah.
Oh, it's puppets?
Yeah.
What the hell did I just look up then?
Well, it's like they have like the establishing shot of the motel itself is CG, but the actual characters themselves are puppets. And yeah, I just seem to be the only one that remembers that.
I completely missed that. I watched Fox Kids a lot back in the day, and I completely missed that shit.
Did you guys? Oh, go ahead.
Did you guys ever watch Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids?
No.
I don't think we got that
That's
here
another
in the
one.
States.
That's another one that I really got into when I was a kid.
Most of the stuff I found from Hollywood Video. Because we didn't have cable for like so long when I was a kid. I don't think I got cable until I was like maybe 10 or 12. So yeah, I just went to Hollywood Video and I would just look, all right, horror section, what do we got here?
Dude, the statutes of limitations have run out on this, but my dad had a black box back in the day. So we got a few things for free.
Lucky you.
Dude, I'm fucking Italian, dude. We had a lot of shit. We had a lot of fucking shit in my house that dropped out the back of a truck.
Oh, look at that! It just fell.
One other that I just remembered. Does anybody else remember the R.L. Stine show, The Nightmare Room?
Yes, I do remember it.
Yeah,
it was towards
definitely.
the end.
Yeah.
But I do remember it. Yeah.
And there was like one episode that was like a ripoff of They Live. There was one that starred the brother from Malcolm in the Middle.
Which one?
Reese.
Okay.
There are a few others, but those are the two that I remember right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is Colin mic'd up? Can he jump in on this one?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay, Hunter? Hunter, can you hear me okay?
Not Hunter, it's Corey.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shit, I'm sorry.
Dude, I still have like
reading
the
the
Corey, your new
labels
name
on the
is Hunter,
switcher.
apparently. All
I
right.
apologize, Corey. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. I would have to say Invader Zim. While it's a hilarious show, but it's not exactly horror, but the concepts and the aesthetics are very unsettling.
Dude, Invader Zim is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since I watched it, and I guess in a way it's one of those that I think could have lasted longer. But at the same time, maybe it did say its welcome just long enough. I think they made a movie resurgence after it was canceled. But
I believe they did not too long ago, somewhere over the
Yeah.
past like 6 years or so.
yeah. Yeah, as far as the horror stuff goes for kids, I mean, I was never that into the typical ones like Goosebumps or Afraid of the Dark because, as we've discussed before, I can't even do haunted houses myself. So I think as far as the closest to anything kind of creepy for kids, that you don't really see so much, at least in mainstream stuff today, would be something like Invader Zim, where it's just the concept is it's hilarious, but it's also very gross. And some of the concepts are very unsettling.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Invader Zim.
It's like Rocco's Modern Life. It was like fun and kiddish, but there were some parts where maybe kids shouldn't have seen it.
I'm gonna say, are we sure
And
this
I
is for
know,
the right audience?
I know Invader Zim was also created by the guy that wrote the comic Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
I could see that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
You learn something new every day.
It's amazing. Oh, one more fun fact about Bone Chillers or whatever. Ron Jeremy played a character in one of the episodes.
What?
Okay.
I was just like, oh
Sold.
yeah.
Sold. They
Speaking of not appropriate for children.
Exactly. I almost completely forgot about that. I'm like, wait, that's right. That was Ron fucking
I would have
Jeremy.
led with that.
Dude, like, I couldn't imagine a fucking parent walking in watching their kid watch it. What the fuck are you watching?
They're like, what kind of setup is this?
Holy shit, where is this show going?
Porn's different now.
Oh man.
Mommy, is that the man with the big sausage? Yes, it is, honey.
Holy fuck.
Boner killer.
I think that's a good one to go out on. Mark, do you have a question of the podcast?
No, well, I didn't get to go.
Then go.
I will. It's trying to skip me.
No one wants to hear you talk.
Well, obviously, dude, Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark are a must. But I actually just rewatched Our Real Monsters from Nickelodeon back in the day this morning. And actually, surprisingly enough, animation is great. Still holds up as a concept. It's really, really cool. Very dry humor, which I thought really appreciated. I thought it was a really, really fun show. But the big one that sticks out that a lot of people don't get a chance to talk about is actually, I'll hang on to that for a second. There's another show that's like half superhero and half science fiction horror, which was Animorphs. I don't know if you guys watch Animorphs.
Dude,
it's
Animorphs,
basically like Power Rangers meets
Animals.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Because all
And
the
the books were sick.
the books were awesome, but like the bad guys are it's all Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Right, it's just slugs.
They're
space
literally
slugs.
like slugs that take over other human beings. It's very science fiction horror. It's actually really, really cool idea.
Dude, those books had like some of the coolest fucking covers. when I
Oh,
was a
dude, the
kid.
fucking art was so good.
Yeah.
I'm so good on
I
those.
loved flipping through them and just like.
Yep, just in the little corner of the pages.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember. Oh, my God. I remember that. That was so cool.
Dude, Animorphs was fucking great.
Brandon has something to say.
No, I
Oh,
just
okay.
remember the show is all and the books.
Yeah.
I don't remember much about them, but I remember what were the Analytes or something like that?
Andalites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Inlets. Yeah.
That was my introduction to Iceman, also.
Oh, nice.
I keep forgetting the guy's name.
I know who you're talking about though. Dude, as an overall show it was really good. It got a little teen drama at times, especially watching it as an adult, but that's kind of part of its appeal.
Dude, I haven't thought about the Animorphs in fucking years.
I know, dude. I know.
God.
It's
Dude, I played the PS1 game recently.
Oh my God.
Dude, that would be
Oh yeah.
Dude, that would be a cool let's play game.
I could put it on my PlayStation, absolutely.
That would definitely be a cool let's play game. Dude, it's amazing that how much like money and merchandise and they had this from every fucking angle, like the books, the TV, the TV spots, the video games, the merchandise, the clothing, like literally attacked everything from every angle.
And I think they did a decent job with their limited TV budget too. Like, you had the aliens that were obviously puppets, but they shot them sparingly and kind of in the dark because, I think they usually just had the heads.
Yeah, that was it.
But that's all you really needed, and it kind of helped when you had the villain as being just other people but being infected or like with the slug. So I thought especially given TV budget, they did a great job.
Yeah, and actually, just as a concept, it's pretty terrifying to be a kid and basically know that there's something wrong in the world and and then basically the thing that's wrong in the world is all of your parents,
right?
And all the adults are all fucked, so and knowing that something's wrong, but no one would believe you even if you told them.
Right.
So I think as a concept, it was pretty fucking cool. But without a doubt, the one that I remember the most, and it's a beloved classic that a lot of people love, is Courage the Cowardly Dog.
I couldn't watch that.
Hell yeah.
Dude,
that was so just the feeling of emptiness, and it was so
existential dread.
It was so uncomfortable to watch.
It's such a good fucking show.
Even thinking about it right now, I can't.
Dude,
wow, I've never heard somebody react to Courage like that.
Dude, it was such a fun fucking show, dude, and there's so much creepy shit. Like, Cartoon Network didn't, like, you thought Nickelodeon didn't give a fuck. Like, Cartoon Network
Dude,
really...
none of them gave a fuck back
Dude,
then. That was what
really
made it
didn't
so
give a fuck.
good.
Didn't they have Mega Babies too?
Mega Babies.
I don't think I've ever heard of Mega Babies.
It was like a gross out show. It was like these babies that were extra strong or something, and they would just fart and shit and puke on everything. I don't know.
That is
not that I'm
interesting.
aware
Wait,
of.
I think about Trailer Park. Or no, what's it called?
Trailer Park,
No,
whatever?
no,
Trailer Park Babies?
No.
I guess. Well, while Colin's reminiscing that, I'm going to give one little runner-up because I think it's fair to mention it because it was a really impactful show for me when I was growing up, was So Weird on the Disney Channel. Which
that was awesome.
Yeah, that was an easy... Literally, it was me watching So Weird and then going right into watching Supernatural because it's almost the same fucking show, except Supernatural had a lot more violence and a lot more other things. But it was a cool show about, a girl who was obsessed with the supernatural and running around the country and running into all kinds of shit. And that was the first time that I ever got introduced to like folklore and like, concepts of vampires and werewolves and like topas and Bigfoot and chupacabras and like there was a lot of that in that, and UFOs and like multiple times UFOs. So there was a lot of ghosts, spirits, poltergeists, like the angels. There was a lot of concepts in that show that were very adult, but it was kind of a really cool introduction to a lot of folklore that you would have not known as a kid. So I think overall it was a really well-written show. Dude, things were just, I don't know what happened in the 90s. I don't know if they just went on a budget spree. I don't know if it was the ability to sell more shit to kids that offered more money and they were able to hire better writers. What the fuck happened in the 90s, with writers, it's amazing. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know. And actually, that's going to be the question of the podcast. What do you think that, was going on in those creators' minds to have the balls and the gusto to do some of this shit that they. I mean, because there's stuff of Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps and and Courage the Cowardly Dog, which is talking about existential dread and like very cerebral philosophies. I know what separated those people, those creators. Was it the environment? Was it there was more money for those type of writers? What it made that era so special? What gave those writers permission to be that free and to cover topics that are designed for children, designed for children and like young adolescents? So I'm very curious about what you guys think about that, because as adults we observe it and we're like, that's really weird. How the hell did they get away with doing that shit? So I'm gonna leave it up for open discussion on how you thought that they got away with that shit. So Corey, you get to go first, but if you want, you can pass.
No, I think the '90s just pushed boundaries in general. Like I've been watching the Norm show with Norm Macdonald.
Nice.
And that show would not fly today. It's so offensive. And I think just the '90s in general, they just pushed it as far as they could go, and not many people told them they couldn't. Like you watch anything from that era, like the mid to late '90s, and it's generally pretty adult oriented, no matter who it's geared towards.
Nice. That's a good point, Zach.
So I think part of the reason we got so much great content in like the mid to late 90s, especially when it comes to like children's horror and stuff like that, is because a lot of those people were coming out in the 80s, and the 80s was essentially the golden age of horror. So a lot of those people grew up with that content. It's just like, I want to make something like that geared for kids. I mean, that just kind of makes more sense in my mind. Plus, shit was really wacky like in the 90s and just over the top. So it's just like, fuck it, let's just take that shit, turn it up to 11 and just fucking go to town.
I'm going to kind of build on that a little bit too, because also coming out of the 80s is when a lot of like restrictions on advertising towards kids
lifted.
Got lifted.
Yeah.
And so it's like you have all these shows like Transformers and G.I. Joe that are essentially just toy commercials. So it's like if you have a decade of that, I'm sure there are a lot of children's content creators who just wanted to do something that wasn't just a commercial, that actually had stories.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there is also some pushback to that. And I'm thinking about this right now. It is a little weird that we don't really have any children's horror TV, at least not what I can think of. Then again, I want it to be the target age right now, so.
But I still feel like we would hear something.
Yeah, because I'm sure, my parents knew what Goosebumps was. My parents knew what Are You Afraid of the Dark was. I have no idea if there's any children's horror right now. I just don't. I'm sure somebody out there listening to us knows something, but I can't think of anything. And I find that weird, considering that the people who are creating this stuff now would have been the people who were influenced by Goosebumps as children. So I just find it weird that there's just a cutoff right now.
The Colin? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
I think what they're doing is they're like, because we all grew up with that stuff, they're just trying to gear it more towards our own age still. Like they took Sabrina, made it dark. They took Archie, made it dark. They're just taking whatever concept we liked when we were younger and making it dark now. I don't know. That just seems to be the trend in the 20s.
Yeah. And really the closest thing I can think of to children's horror right now, and this show's been off, and it ended a few years ago, and that's Gravity Falls, but it has horror elements, but I still wouldn't call it horror. So I just find it weird that there isn't really anything geared towards children.
The Colin?
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of that, I guess you could argue that if there's any kind of horror stuff for children, it might be found on the internet, rather than mainstream. It's not on anymore as far as I know, but I would maybe argue Teletubbies was pretty horrific to watch.
Teletubbies was pretty scary.
and yeah, not even like legitimately scary sometimes, but it was for babies and whatever. But yeah, I guess if you look at any maybe list of creepy stuff, you don't really see a whole lot today unless it's just odd things on the internet where there is basically no censor at all. So I think in a way, most of the stuff that, because there's so much content, they want to make sure it, like on mainstream, they want to make sure it sells and everything. So they kind of go for the straightest and safest route. And I guess it's just all relative depending on what decade you're in. I grew up in the 90s, but also I'm not really old enough to speak on the culture of the 90s as far as like why people were like, it'd be pretty cool if we had like somebody who was older than all of us and be like, you know, who grew up in maybe the 70s or 80s, be like, and so they could reflect more on what the 90s were and maybe why just the world as it was maybe shaped things the way they were. But I think you guys brought some good points as far as just your points already. I'm just kind of piggybacking on some of it.
I actually, I'm a pretty big history buff, so there's a lot of things here. And actually, as I was listening to everybody, the big thing was Brandon was talking about it with the regulations of advertisement towards kids. There's a lot more surplus of money being pushed in, so the content was allowed. Writers were allowed to be paid more, and you're going to get a better stream of writers, period, by having a little bit more moolah being pushed in there. But there's a couple different things. One, it's a couple things. No helicopter parents at the time. We were the last gasp of breath of the kids who had a combination of the sit our ass in front of the TV and watch TV and be really enthralled by it, but also still go out and play.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't as much involvement from our parents, so to speak. So they were more open to watching things and everything else, and also, like Corey said, the 90s, they were already pushing the envelope with television at the time, so it wasn't that uncommon. The parents were like, oh, well, they're talking about crazy shit on ER right now and Friends, so why wouldn't they do this here? Number two, this is a quick one. Steven Spielberg in the 90s moved into doing a lot of children's television, and that also brought it some legitimacy as well, that you had some people that were normally associated with big budget movies and and everything else. They were getting involved in television and making that investment with the Animaniacs and a couple different things that he produced and had his fingerprints in. And also, and this is probably the most important one out of all of it, is that let's think about Cartoon Network, the Disney Channel, not Disney, but the Disney Channel, and Nickelodeon. Those were the power, and Fox Kids. Those were the powerhouses of all of our growing up, for the most part. Those companies were not corporate. They were not huge companies. They were not massive companies. They were not international conglomerates. They were very, very mid-level companies at that time. I mean, Fox was still trying to find its way and everything else, outside of The Simpsons, so they were trying to make their mark on that form of entertainment. So they were taking risks and dealing with complicated things in order to attract an audience for their kid shows. That's why you had X-Men, Spider-Man. You had a lot of things that they were discussing in those shows that were a little bit more complicated, but they were trying to make their map. Cartoon Network was still running fucking reruns of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and they didn't have an identity yet. So it was in the mid-90s that they became an identity. The Disney Channel just became invented in the early 80s. So, it wasn't a big thing. Disney was a huge thing, and they were kind of struggling. They were just getting out of their dark age.
It was before the Renaissance.
It was before the Renaissance again, and they were just trying to get their footing. Jeffrey Katzenberg had just been hired at the head of Disney at that time. He put some money into the Disney Channel. So they were mid-level, and they were just trying to get their identity. So they were trying and being inventive and then trying things because they were new. And the biggest culprit of that was Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon was just started in the 70s, and they had no idea what the fuck they were doing. They were so small. There's a phenomenal documentary on Amazon right now called the Orange Years, and it's all about Nickelodeon starting its run and starting its thing. That's the reason why they originally were in Orlando, Florida. and they had the relationship with Universal because they could not afford the fucking studio space in Los Angeles at that time because they just weren't big enough. That's why they were filming in Florida. That's kind of why I want to film there. But if you really think about those companies at those times, they weren't the companies that we know today. Like, Disney wasn't as massive as it was. Like, it wasn't that big in the 90s. And then also, Nickelodeon was barely anything. Cartoon Network, again, Hanna-Barbera, shit. Fox Kids. Fox, as a general network, was trying to find its identity. So you had a whole combination of all these great studios coming together trying to make a name for themselves at the time, and they were taking risks that they wouldn't normally take. And now that they're a big organization, it's going to be very, very fluffy, very corporate, because they're fat, dumb, lazy, and happy right now. They don't have to be risk takers. They don't have to try new things and get complicated about what they do. They already are huge conglomerates right now. They don't have to take risks. What we need is some new companies to come up and start taking some fucking risks and being more inventive and everything else, just like they were once before. No one took the mantle from them. No one, grabbed the torch and kept going. So that's what needs to happen in order for that cycle to repeat with some new ideas and some new fresh blood. And that's ultimately what I think. I know that was a longer-winded explanation, but I think it's important to say about what the history was so people can understand what we need to do to go forward to start that cycle all over again. So the next generation of kids can go, oh my God, how did they get away with that on TV? That's crazy. That's awesome. And they'll still talking about it. We're talking about it, 20 years later? It was in 94. More than 20 years. So, 25 years, 26 years later. So, I mean, that's what we're still talking about it, because those people were able to take risks because they had nothing to lose.
I think there's also a big fear of taking risks right now with cancel culture and just the way, with how sensitive people are. I hate to be that guy to say that sentence, but yeah, I feel like just people are too afraid to push the envelope now because they'll just have their funding stripped from them. Yeah.
And you know what? And there needs to be more people who, like us, and like you, that say, nah, I'm still going to do my own thing. I'm going to let the audience dictate, what I do. If they're digging it and they're enjoying it, that's what I'm going to keep doing. This has been awesome. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching this episode of the Nightmares Podcast. This is fucking awesome. Corey, thank you so much, man, for swinging by again. We really, really appreciate it. This is your opportunity, sir. You have the floor. You can go ahead and give a plug about new stuff that you're working on and where the good people can find you.
All right, you can find me on Instagram and the Slasher app at Poltergeist_OD. You can find me on YouTube or anywhere else at just Poltergeist OD. I'm dropping a song on the 18th. I'm not sure when this episode is coming out. I have a new song now. I'm dropping Leatherface right away. After that, I'm going to be dropping a Killer Clowns from Outer Space song, and then I'm going to be dropping a Frighteners song. And after that, I'm going to keep everything to myself.
I wish Frighteners. I was hoping it would have got first place, but nope. I'm going to be the only asshole who votes for this. I know it. Click.
That was a passion project. I pretty much just did that for myself because I love that movie.
Dude, that movie is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, Peter, dude, I fucking love that movie. And by the way, I also voted for it too. So
we got 2 votes.
We got 2 votes. We're the 2 assholes that voted for it.
Everyone's looking at us like, man, these fucking morons.
Dude, Michael J. Fox and it's Peter Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Dude, what the fuck can't you? What do you have? Yeah. Anyway, so closing out. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Nightmares Podcast. Of course, you can find us out on everywhere where podcasts can be found, on Spotify, Anchor, and then of course, if you are watching us on YouTube, if you'd be so awesome to stab that like button, smash that subscribe, and click that little dingy bell to be notified every time we drop amazing content right here at MHN. Zach, where can they find us on social media?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Slasher.
Thank you so much, and we will see you next time on the Nightmares Podcast.